I'm Dr. Jonathan Matthias Lassiter. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist here in New York. I'm a professor and an author, so look out for my book next year.
Yes.
All right?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corey Minor-Smith. I'm an attorney, author, and advocate, and it is my goal and mission to increase awareness about severe mental illness in the Black community. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Charlamagne Tibabu. I'm the founder of Behavioral Health Tech, which is the largest community focused on expanding access to mental health, substance use, and autism care through technology, health equity, and innovation.
Wow, I don't even, y'all are so, shoot. But I got my Hampton brother next to me. Shout out to Hampton University. I'm Ian Davis. I'm the founder of Age of the Creative, a creative consultancy that serves the creative artist and brand community in the entertainment space, and I'm also certified as a mindfulness and meditation teacher, also currently training in mindfulness-based stress reduction. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, grateful, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Smithers. I currently work program strategy at Pivotal Ventures for adolescent mental health. It's an investment and incubation company focused on advancing social progress. I'm also a lifelong educator and education advocate and proud HBCU grad. Saw some also other pirates in the audience as well.
Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? So I'm Dr. Resma Menakem. I am a trauma therapist, clinical social worker. I wrote a book called My Grandmother's Hands, and I love being here with y'all every year, and thank you for being here with us.
All right, we have an amazing panel with so much expertise and lived experience to share, so we're gonna get right into it. So we're talking Black families and tech, and so we know that 83% of Black families own a smartphone, and a lot of people have been saying that that is a way to increase access for mental health care among Black families, because we know we only have about 5% of doctors as well as psychologists who are Black. So there's a lot of gap in the number of people who need services and the people from the community to provide those services. So mental health is apps are proposed to be a bridge for that. So what are your thoughts about the role of apps in improving Black people and families' mental health? And so whoever wants to feel moved in their spirit to speak, you go right ahead and do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. You know, Dr. Lassiter, as we were talking earlier, it's just astounding. There's just too few providers. When you talk about Black providers, it's abysmal. And so, frankly, we need to leverage technology to scale the reach of providers like yourselves to access more individuals to get care. And so for me, you know, I had horrible anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder as an adolescent, and I was online, just as many teens are today. And that is where providers can reach teens, is meet them where they are online. And I started anxietyinteens.com in 2006 when I was 16 because I wanted other teens to be able to know that they aren't alone in what they're going through. And so ever since then, I've continued to be an advocate that we need to have healthy mental health content and access through technology, because as we know, there's plenty of not so healthy things on tech, and we can offset that with scalable access to mental health care.
Thank you for that.
I would actually say, how many people have, as like the app she was talking about, just by show of hands, how many people have like some sort of mental health therapy, something you can tap into your wellness, an app that you use? Okay, and raise your hand for everybody that raised your hand. How many of you are using it on a regular basis? Okay, great. I would say conversely, I think the apps are great. There are really great resources out there. One that I really like as a teacher, because I'm a mindfulness and meditation teacher, is Insight Timer. Really, really great. It's free. It's kind of like, there's an abundance of just learning, healing modalities, yoga, like everything you can think of with whatever you may be going through is on there. Conversely though, I think that there's too many apps. There are great people in this space. My friend David Wilson, I think Charlamagne's a part of that, has started Alter. There's the Shine app. There is True Voice. Jill Scott's invested in that. So there's apps for us, but I do think we actually have to meet our community where they are. And you guys are on Instagram and on Facebook and on TikTok. And so I think leveraging technology to meet people there as well, because that's where we're consuming. As we saw in the show of hands, like, people have the apps, but are you using them? And so I think it's part of the conversation is like, how can we meet them where they are, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that all of us need to become content creators or influencers online, but that's how people are getting through their day, because so many people in our community are spending their time on Instagram scrolling or on TikTok or on Facebook. So what would it look like to integrate into those platforms versus download this? We have too many apps on our phone already. So, right, we don't need another app. We had to download an app to be here, right? So, right? Like, we didn't, respectfully, Wova's great. Wova's great. It's actually a really great tool, but like, you had to download an app to be here. There's too many things. So if we can meet more of our community where they're at, I think that,
You make a great point. I think we can get overwhelmed when there's too many options. So, like, how do families narrow down which options, like, to use? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a great conversation, and like, just to highlight, like, there are a variety of choices that folks have now, and what's great is that, like, mental health has become closer than ever before to us. It's proximate, it's on demand, we can access it when we need it, but it's up to y'all to choose the right app and service for you, and the ways in which, like, you can find the best products are those that are thoughtfully designed, are typically considered the populations they seek to serve. So if you're going towards a Black mental health app, like, the first question you should ask is, did they talk to Black people when designing it? Because how would they know what to do? I do want to highlight.
Yeah. I want you to continue, but tell us, break it down as if we're in second grade. How do we figure out who they talked to when they designed it, right? Because I'm a researcher, so I'm reading all the research articles. I'm looking at the methods section, right? But how do like my brother, who with a high school education, figure that out?
Yeah, and just so I understand, so it's like, how do they figure out, like, who to go to first to get that information? Talk to your community. Like, communication is important. So talk to your friend groups, what apps they're using, that's important. But also, like, we like, how many folks have smartphones, right? It's everyone, everybody has an iPhone in their hand. Go on the website, do research, look up those apps, and that's where you start. You want to do your own research first.
Great, thank you.
I think it's important that we understand how using technology in the comfort of our own homes gives us the confidentiality that we seek, the comfort that we seek, as well as the community that we're able to create. In the midnight hours, a lot of people are looking for help when they can't talk to a friend. You can pray, but you can also take the opportunity to have resources at your fingertips to help you. One new app that just launched in the last, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks was by Bershawn Shaw, and it's called You Are a Warrior, which has a lot of the different services, platforms, activities. Black woman who is the founder of You Are a Warrior. But we are not monolithic, right? We're divergent, and we like different things. So it's important that we think about what do we like, what attracts us. Sometimes it's pictures. People are visual sometimes. So you really have to look for yourself, and it's not always a referral, but you helping a friend who may not understand how to use an app, or a senior in your community or your church, and helping them to see that the activities that are provided on that app or services that are offered on the app can be easily accessible to them by just showing them. So if you already know how to do it, help someone else who may not know and understand how to do it.
Thank you for that. And I know, Resmi, you want to jump in here. I want to also pose the question, and maybe you can answer this and then others. You mentioned You Are a Warrior. What are some specific apps that you know of that people can go out today and download that are for the community, that have done the research with our community? But I'm going to kick it over to Resmi right now.
So I'm having a little, like, there's a part of me that is loving the conversation, and then there's a part of me that's constricting a little bit. And it's constricting around the idea that sometimes we look for things as remedy when we actually should be cultivating more room around things. That I'm glad that there are resources and that there's apps and all of that different type of stuff. But to me, if apps don't direct me to make a human connection, it's a problem, right? That what happened to our people, to most of the people in here, we are descended from people who were brutalized. We're descended from people who were legally raped for 250 years and separated. And there are particular pieces that have to be addressed with that. We are an abundant, generous, beautiful, loving people. And then some crazy shit happened, right? And we have to figure out ways how to, and in that crazy shit that happened, we had to protect the most precious and tender parts of ourselves, right? In order, like our people had to do that in order for us to survive. That's not a defect, that's a protect, but we have to tend to it. So for me, I think that tech as it currently is a one-way street, right? It pushes us and pushes information to us as if that information is going to be the curative remedy. And what I believe is that I believe tech for us has to actually evolve. It can't, what it is right now is fine for right now, but it literally has to evolve. It literally has to help us tend to the pieces that were brutalized and ask us to reclaim it with each other. What happened to our people didn't happen to us individually. It happened communally. So only developing an individual response to a communal horror is inadequate, right? 100%. And what I would like for us to do is make tech bend to what we need as opposed to us bending to what tech is.
But I love that.
Go ahead, Ian.
And I love the honor of like our ancestors, the people that came before us, and I also want to just honor this Lenape land that we're on. Exactly. That's kind of why I said like we need to meet people where they're at, because I don't think it is entirely resolved in an app, in my opinion, right? But what would it look like? Like unfollow the shade room, unfollow the things on your social feed that aren't contributing to your well-being, because this is perpetuating the suffering that you're going through. So what would it look like right now when you go home or in the next break if you just spent 10 minutes and put in different things on your Explore page, and now your Explore page is going to be curated around the things that you search, versus seeing, booty pics or women, men with their shirt off or whatever the case may be, or trash that doesn't go to the healing space, right? We talk about this trauma that we've experienced and that we still experience right now, but we have to use what we have. So as I mentioned, there are apps that exist, Shine, True Voice, Charlamagne, did Alter launch yet? Me and David haven't talked about it. It's in the it's beta, right? Alter is going to be launching soon. That's a Black-owned app for us. And David Wilson, who previously founded The Griot, is starting that and is behind that. Charlamagne is involved in that app with Viola Davis and some other people. There are apps that exist, but I think, as he mentioned, we have to do the work before we get on the tech. And so I would recommend, because we're in New York, anybody that's uptown, there is a free mental health facility called the Hope Center. It stands for Healing on Purpose and Evolving. It's on 116th Street. And those that are tied to a faith-based community, First Corinthian Baptist Church, my home church, sponsored this space. They give you free counseling. But also, when we talk about tech, there is Zoom. You can go up there and have a session in person with somebody, but they do community things. So I think tech is great. I think tech should be a supplement to what our everyday experience is, to his point of us having to start and understand where the suffering exists, where it's at presently, and then how are we doing the work before we get on the tech. And then, like, again, curating your page. Control what you're seeing, because you're going to keep seeing junk on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, if you keep looking at junk. So if you want to stay in the place you're at, keep looking at that stuff. If you don't, change your feed.
What I hear you talking about is having multiple options, right? Goes back to Corey's point. And it's a both and, right? To Resma's point, I think it's a both and. So we definitely need to be healing in community. We definitely need to be harnessing our culture. I heard people on the previous panel talking about harnessing our culture. And part of our culture is that collective, right? It's those Lugo Saba principles, right? It's things like that that puts us in community with each other, that puts us in community with something greater than ourselves. And tech can be as you said, a supplement. It can be a way to start that connection. So it's a both and, but you're 100% right. If we move solely in the tech space, solely in the digital world, then we are still cutting off our connection with others.
So right now, as a people, we are experiencing something, and have been experiencing something. And there are other people around the world that are experiencing something, right? The Palestinians, the people in Congo, our people here, the people in Tulsa, like we're experiencing something. And one of the things that I think tech does sometimes is that it marches us forward as opposed to also tending to the things that are happening now and the things that we're being impacted by, right? We go, okay, that's fine, and then we move forward. Like whatever Charlamagne is creating, I would love it to also push people to be with people, to create those networks, to create those ways of being with each other so something new and more generative can emerge that is more sustaining for our people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I totally agree, right? Again, I think, we need to be thinking about Black communities as not a monolith, but heterogeneous, right? And we also need to be thinking both and, right? I want to move us forward, talking about forward, and thinking about, again, connecting across community, and that includes families. So thinking about tech, and also maybe low tech, high tech and low tech ways of how we can help families have conversations about mental health as well. I'm sure all of us up here have our own personal mental health story and know someone with their mental health story. So how can we start that conversation? There's still a lot of stigma, and a lot of it's because of that history, right? We know that mental health has been used as a tool of oppression in Black communities for centuries. But how do we start that conversation?
I think it's important to use television, another aspect of tech, I guess. But there was a series called Queenie. Anyone seen Queenie? It showed a generational journey to accept and appreciate counseling and therapy, and understanding that how mental health is significant in the Black community, whichever part of the diaspora of which you come. But television is a great way to open the door to have a conversation. Programs like Queenie. If any of you all saw the series on BET Her called The Couch. Very, very dramatic series, but it shows real life situations with Black families who are dealing with mental health and aspects that they may not understand, with certain behaviors that are related to severe mental illness. So I think that watching television programs, because most anyone tends to do that, can open the opportunity to have conversations, seeing things on television that you may witness in your household, but nobody talked about. Uncle Jimmy that is up in the attic and we just taking food every day, but no one questions it. So movies, soul food, all of those types of things, Fences, have had some type of scene where it depicts a person with a mental health condition. So that can help start the conversations.
Thank you. Others?
Yeah, I think, so I used to be a high school teacher, and a lot of the times I got to unintentionally see the disconnect between young people and their families. And like starting the conversation around like what's going on in your day-to-day is sometimes so hard. I'm so glad to see like some folks in the audience carrying around the Start Your Conversation card packs from the Ad Council and their Sound It Out campaign. I think that that is a good example of a way that you could like break the ice on the conversation. So the Sound It Out campaign started as a research project and listening tour to find like the most impactful ways in which young people and their caregivers can start to have those conversations. And what they found was that like there was a big tool that we all use, right? Music can help start that conversation. So I know I do, and I'm sure a lot of folks in this room like have a song that helps them through difficult times or that they listen to when they're happy. And the Sound It Out campaign provides tools and resources for young people and their families to like have that conversation, because sometimes starting it opens the door to having a more sort of richer and deeper relationship. So.
Thank you. Oh, you have?
Yeah, I'm happy to add. I was the only person in my family that was comfortable talking about mental illness for a long time. And I have hope for the next generation. My answer to your question is, if we want to talk more about mental health in our families, it starts with us and expressing our lived experience first to help others feel more comfortable to reciprocate. And so, again, you know, this was me with my obsessive compulsive disorder. My parents didn't even have a vocabulary for that phrase in their language. Right. And it took a lot of time, but eventually that's what started it, is expressing what I was going through. So it starts
and that
with
takes
us.
courage, right? And so I think that's also something that we have to cultivate, is the courage to take that first step, to be that pioneer in healing for our families, right?
I think just a low-tech thing. One of the things that I've been interested in doing is creating like, and this is gonna sound weird, right? But like, what would it be like if we actually had a network, like a ham radio station network, where people all around the country would be talking and sharing this information? What would it be like if we created our own pieces that...
Hey, iHeart.
Huh?
Hey, iHeart, are you listening?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about, I'm literally talking about creating of technology that is built and emergent from the people that they're trying to affect change in. So creating and reclaiming low-tech things that we've thrown away. We've thrown away pagers. Nobody even uses pagers anymore. But are there opportunities to reclaim those things that could actually send messages, that could actually help in times of need, that could actually give people small chunks of information that would allow us to just maybe hold on for one more day? And so for me, I think there are so many things in our communities right now that we could actually begin to create and make networks to allow us to address some of these pieces.
Related to that point and the things in our communities, oftentimes the conversation around Black mental health sort of gets stuck at stigma, other things going wrong. But we have a lot of strengths, right? So thinking about a strengths-based approach, what are some things in our communities that we could be using to have these conversations in our families, and maybe we even need to harness in the tech space? So what are those strengths of Black communities in particular? Go right ahead.
I'll give you three Fs: faith, fictive kin, which is coined by Carol Stack, and foundation. Dr. Resma, you talked about our struggles, the brutal history that we have. That's a part of our strength, our origin story, giving us the foundation of which to build. And it has increased our strength through the years, through the generations. So I ask you to focus on faith, whatever that may be for you, your higher power and strength. Fictive kin. We all have aunties and uncles that aren't really blood related, cousins, play cousins that are not blood related, but all have created a village that we've needed to be support through challenging times or just general help on a day-to-day basis. And then the foundation of it all being our history and how we have built upon that history to help us to have better opportunities today, as well as opportunities for our futures and our children's futures.
Thank you so much. We are almost out of time. And I know we have a wealth of information, so be sure to come up to us afterwards. But I want to leave on that. I think that's a powerful note to end on. Faith, fictive kin, and foundation. Beautiful. All right? So go forth and prosper, everyone. We love you all.